Welcome to another tutorial of AZMAT System. Today, we'll go through in some detail about the rates or curve files. Let's begin by opening the main AZMAT System file. So here we go through, going through drive F, azmat.xls, open and read only. Enter the password for the file. And this is the AZMAT System file, system password. User ID. We're going through this each time in almost every file, every tutorial, because that's how you start AZMAT System. And the more you see it, the more hopefully you'll become familiar. Right, we are here now, almost. There, under the add-ins or the AZMAT System menus. Just going to restore this file. So all AZMAT System commands are under the add-ins. And these are the AZMAT System menus. Any of these, if you click. And so some of these longer than the standard menu size, so you have to scroll down to see the full commands. So we'll begin by opening, we'll go to the K menu. So from add-ins, go to K menu, click the down arrow, and let's open curve for file edit. Open the zrusd.xlsx in this case. So while the file is being opened, it puts out a message to the user to please wait. Because before it opens the file, it has to carry out various checks. And you'll see it, we'll go in detail later on, step by step if necessary, as to what AZMAT System does. So when you come to the programming part. Right, so now it says AZMAT System is open rates file for zrusd.xlsx for a full edit session. Please note that changes to this file will not take effect unless an AZMAT System command is used at the end of editing. This is very important. Whenever you open any file, AZMAT System file, you should always use AZMAT System commands to close as well, because AZMAT System needs to carry out various checks and make notes of the date and time when the user and which user had actually edited a particular file, either for rates edit or file edit. File edit is a full edit session. You can do anything. So click OK. Right. We are here, zrusd.xlx file name there. AZMAT is the worksheet. It has only one worksheet. If you see how many files we have open and not hidden, switch windows, you'll see it has only got zrusd and AA. That's my user data file. Open. So right now I will go through this in detail, line by line, to see what is involved, what do we have in a typical rates file. I'm using the US dollar curve file, because that's the most commonly used file in most investment banks. However, there are many other currency files, but they're all same, similar structure. Just the size, the number of rows, the number of futures may be different, but essentially all rates files are the same. So let's begin here. Holidays check for curve grid points. So here we have holidays check for curve grid points area. As you know, in AZMAT system, usually where it is all yellow area is the one where user would be changing the data. However, when you open a curve for file edit or a full edit session, you can change anything. Here, there, everywhere, even the formula if you want to. Although it wouldn't make sense, because here basically we have the bid offer, spread, bid for rates price, offer price. Offer simply here, as you can see, is 1, 2 column back plus the spread. So bid price plus the bid offer spread. Spread is the difference between the bid and offer price. So this offer price is basically that bid price plus the actual spread. Difference between the bid and offer, that gives you offer. And the formula on here, mid price, if you see, is 1, 2, 3. So same row, 3 column back, 1, 2, 3, 3 column back. That means the bid price plus 1, 2. The bid offer spread divided by 2. Note that it does not mean the bid price plus the bid offer spread divided by 2. No, it means the bid price plus half of this spread. See, if I wanted to have the whole, this plus that divided by 2, you will have here opening bracket, close bracket there. So then it means whatever inside the bracket, whole divided by 2. But the mid price is simply the bid price plus half of the spread. So that's why you have here 3.15825. And the offer price, as we saw before, is simply the bid price plus the whole of the spread. So we are now, this particular one, we're just going to go through these, see what AZMAT system can do for the user. So the holidays check. So AZMAT system replaces any dates in the original calculation of curve grid points which fall on a holiday, as defined by the holidays check parameters. So when it actually does calculations at the end of your rates of file edit, it goes through, it carries out all these curve grid points. Curve is the one we're using because it's a yield curve. So rates file, the actual grid points. And if any of those points fall on a holiday, defined by here, then it will be replaced by a non-bank holiday or a non-weekend. For example, here, as we have here, weekends, 1 equal to avoid Saturday or Sunday. So if I put 1 here, it means make sure any of these dates here, for example, maturity date, if I just scroll it down, right all the way up here, none of them fall on a weekend. If it does, say Saturday or Sunday, then replace those dates by a weekday. provided that weekday does not fall on any holidays here, as defined by here further. So we have, so the dates which are checked for holidays are the curve grid points. The actual grid points are calculated by AZMAT System and cannot be directly specified by the user. Okay, AZMAT System calculates those, the curve grid points. We will go through that at a future tutorial when we get really in quite depth in AZMAT System. That's quite specialist topic. We'll go in that, but later on, at later stage. Right now, in this particular session, we want to go through, see what on this particular topic right now, we are going only about the holidays checks. And we'll go all these other things in a bit later on in this session. But so I want to take only one step at a time. So right now, the actual curve grid points, they are calculated by AZMAT System, all these dates. Don't worry about it now, how they're calculated, why they are, those dates are as stated. We will go through in detail later on. So what it's really saying is you cannot, the user cannot specify a particular date here. You have to state what the parameters are by here, or these maturities and this, the features and so on, and these here items here, settlement, for example, settlement is very useful, very important. And then AZMAT System will go through and do the calculate the actual dates. So the user can only specify the 4 holidays check parameters in the upper area of any rates curve file. So you can, the user, not you, because you will be the programmer. You will actually be the developer. So the user, we're talking about the end user, say a particular dealer in an investment bank. He or she will be the typical user of this system. So the user, or in this case, you can be the user as well if you want to. You can only, as a user, you can only specify either, say, in this case, 1. If you put 1 here, you're telling AZMAT System to make sure that none of these dates fall on a Saturday or Sunday. If a particular date falls on a, for example, in this case, Monday, 10th of July, if this was going to be, say, 8, which is a Saturday, or 9th, which is Sunday, it should not put that weekend date here. It should be only on a weekday, provided that weekday does not also fall on any of these other holidays. So you can also specify dates to avoid these special dates, SP dates, special. I'm using short SP for special dates, and example data here in this column. Okay, like 1. This can be 1. I put it here. The actual data you are specifying would be in this column. So 1 is here, right? Always avoid Saturday or Sunday. No question. Now, the other one, special dates, are here. As you notice in here, the actual dates are numbers. As we have seen in other tutorials, the dates Excel recognizes are as a numeric, as a number. So the date, it will not say, for example, 10th of July, 2017. It will not say, or look at it like this, Monday, 10th of July, 2017. No, it will convert that date into a number, or vice versa. So convert this number, in this case, 39,441, into a date. Well, actually, Excel already knows what the date is by that. But for you, the user, to know that, you have to enter it and then change the format to see what date that is. For example, if I put that here just for now, you would not be doing this incidentally, but I'm just going to show you what it means. So here I have 10th of July 2017. Fine. Let's say I put in this date, spatial dates forward, for example. Although this may be very, very far back in time, doesn't matter. We're just looking at it as an example. So if I put in 39441, which is the first, or 39448, or 39468. Let's see what actually that date is. Let's put in the last one, 39468. So if I enter in any of these, because the format is already in this form, then I can see that. I'll enter in the first one so it's easier to see. So we don't want to leave the wrong date anyway. So 39,468. I'll enter. So 39468. There. So this is 21st of January 2008. It's very old date, doesn't matter, but the fact that this is a Monday. Well, for whatever reason, in here, the user decided that AZMAT System should avoid that date. Because it's a US dollar curve, maybe it's a special holiday, which is not a bank holiday, but some other holiday, or for whatever reason, you've decided that you should avoid that. So you can enter that as a, not like here, 20th January 2008, but as a number here. Or I'll try this here, 39448. So this is, as you can see here, it doesn't show me as 39448 as my system, not rather as my system Excel automatically converts the number into a date, and you can see it here as a format. I've got it here. If I change this format to a general format number, then I would see that this is actually what I had entered. I had entered originally, remember, 39468. So if I go and change this format to a general format, I can also either change it or I can simply copy. Let's just copy from here because we know this is a, so if I copy, I will put it back original as it was. And in here, I want to copy, and I want to copy spatial formats. Remember, you should not be doing this or what I'm doing here now. I'm just showing you here just to see. So if I move this away, so if you put the format, general format there, I'm putting here, so it should put, you should be able to see 39468, which is what I had entered. See here, 39468. I said I would enter the last one, 39468 I entered. And because the format was in this format, date format, AZMAT System, not rather AZMAT System, is Excel, showed it as in that date format. But the number is actually in that cell is the number I entered. And that is the number which Excel uses whenever it uses a date. Okay. Simplest thing is I could actually cancel this command and then go and copy the format back, but there's a much simpler way. I can simply undo it. If I click this undo paste special, it's saying paste special, but it could be whatever you've done before, it will come there. So if you just copied something else, copied or entered some number, it will say undo that, whatever. So in this case, undo paste special. So if I click that, there, let's put it back to what it was. And now I can press escape to cancel this copying command. So copy command, I'm canceling by pressing escape. Right, done. So we are back to the original, what we had here before. not the very first time, the original one. Original one was not this date. It was the date here, 10th of July, if you remember correctly. So if I see whether it will actually let me see one more here, you can see the second one, undo if I did that. Before I typed in 39468, I typed in 39468 here. So it's allowing me now one more. I go back here, it says undo typing 39468 in row 11, column 11. So if I click once more, back to what the original date was, 10th of July 2017. Okay, so we've gone in slight diversion there, but all this should help you if you didn't already know. And if you knew, well, hopefully it has been a revision. Okay, so you can say dates to avoid. These is special dates. So remember, it's not using these. These are just, this is an example data to show you how you should enter this information here. So 39441, you could enter just one date if you wanted. You didn't have to enter, an array. So we will go into detail later on how to actually enter all these things. But at this point, you just need to know, just be aware, because we're going to go in quite detail all these curve parameters. Curve is the rates file, remember. This is called US dollar curve because it's a yield curve for US dollar. So that's why, or rates file, if you like. Currency is USD. Okay, so you can enter either special dates, one or more dates. If it's one, just enter one date. More than one, then you have to enter it as an array. We'll go into that later on as to how to enter an array and so on a different file. I don't want to do it on here on the curve file. Because in the AZMAT System data file, I'll just show you, let's briefly show you that. AA, your data file, it'll be your initials and whatever AZMAT System will create for you when you first use it. So in here, if you see that, we have similar thing here. I'm just going to put it back here. I was going to say here, Windows, I need to do Windows arrange all so I can see the scroll bars. So I'm going to here go Windows, arrange all, and I only want to do the active workbook. Very important. If I didn't have that, it will put both data file and the curve file side by side or horizontal or vertical, whichever way I want to, or cascade. But I don't want to do that. I only want to arrange this particular file so I can see the scroll bars in this file. So I'll leave that tile, and here, this very important, keep this one ticked. So, okay, now I can see the scroll bars. So I can move up and down. And also I can move it sideways, the scroll bars, they're also there. Oops. Click somewhere else, so that's gone there. Not to worry, not a big problem. Go back there. Right, so in here, dates are here, so we'll go down. I can just click down. So here as well, we have the similar thing what we have in curve file, dates array. Actual dates, special dates, because the currency codes as an array, it's got two currencies, and it's got four currencies here, special days. So we will do the actual entering and practice of show you going through the actual how to enter an array, all that later on in your AZMAT System data file in a future tutorial. Let's at this point just go back to the ZRUSD curve file, and here we just want to go through, look through what you can and cannot specify. So you can specify as a user, you can specify any special dates to avoid and dates to avoid any bank holidays. Now, bank holidays, note that you don't actually enter the bank holidays themselves here. There's a separate file where the bank holidays for all the currencies are defined, the ones you know. And so that file, as long as you keep that file updated every year, you can find very easily for each currency what the bank holidays are. And then all you have to do here, in this particular cell there, you actually enter the currency of that country. So in this case, if I want to avoid the British holidays and the American holidays, I put down GBP and US dollar as an array. So avoid the bank holidays for these two currencies. In the US dollar curve file, I'm saying avoid those two. I could actually enter the others as well. For the bank holidays, that's all I want to avoid. But for the dates to avoid any special dates, here, that's where I'll be actually entering my day, just like that, number one. Remember, this is the example column, showing you what you can enter here. So the actual entries this AZMAT system I'm going to use is from here. What's in this cell for the weekends. This for special dates, bank holidays, and special dates, which are by the, remember the difference here is these special days, one or two more special days here are actual dates themselves. Whereas these special days here are special dates for these currencies. So that currency basically means for that particular current country, if you have, take those special dates from that. So how do we know that? For instance, in here, the special dates, if I put here, say these dates, in here, or any other dates, this is US dollar curve. So what I'm saying to AZMAT system is, take the special dates as defined in the currency, the US dollar curve file in this cell, and in here, so I've got US dollar, JPY, GBP, and Deutschmark. So if I had that here, all those four currencies, I'm instructing AZMAT system to avoid, not there, remember, this is just example data column. If I put it here, I'm instructing AZMAT system to avoid all the special holidays dates as entered here in the curve file, avoid them for that particular curve. So in here, I'm saying avoid only the bank holidays for GBP and US dollar bank holidays, but the special days avoid. If I had it here, I haven't got it here, remember, if I had it here, right, as in this example, if I put that here, it will be telling AZMAT system to avoid the special dates, which AZMAT system will have to look into this particular cell for each of those currencies. For Deutschmark, GBP, US dollar, and JPY, in that cell, what the special dates are, and avoid those as well as weekend and the bank holidays for GBP and US dollar. I know it may not be that clear right now, but it will become clear as we proceed with these tutorials. We'll do one by one when we're actually doing, so you will see that it is doing exactly what you, the user, has instructed AZMAT system to do. So all 4 holiday check parameters are used in conjunction with each other when checking holidays. This means that the original curve grid point dates are checked against all 4 parameters to ensure that the final checked dates satisfy the contents of each and every parameter. So, as I said before, the first one says avoid Saturday or Sunday. So if any of these days fall on a Saturday or Sunday, you're telling AZMAT system to avoid. But let's say, for example, 10th of July 2017, let's say, for example, this was a bank holiday in either, because I'm here saying dates to avoid bank holidays in both England and America by saying the currency GBP or US dollar. So if this particular date, not just this, any of these, for example, but the reason I picked up here Monday is, say if this was a Saturday or Sunday, it'll go on to Monday, although there are other times when it'll actually go backwards to the previous. We will go in detail as to see when we will do that. Not at this point. At this point, we are going forward to the next working day, for example. However, if you say Saturday or Sunday it'll try Monday, but only it'll set for Monday as long as Monday was not a bank holiday, either in England or in US dollar. If it was bank holiday, then it will go to the next working day, which will be Tuesday. So that's what it means when it says the curve grid point dates are checked against all 4 parameters to ensure that the final checked dates satisfy the contents of each and every parameter. So it'll ensure that all these dates, if you have these special dates here, whatever they are, any special days, any bank holidays by specifying the currency, any special days for currencies other than this one even. So whatever the currency you specify, special days, as you'll get it from here, from the curve files for those currencies. When it's gone through here, you can be sure that none of these dates fall on any of the dates as it would have been, and there would not be on any special days, specified special days for this currency or for any of these currencies, whatever you specify here, or the bank holidays, or indeed this current US dollar curve file special dates. So that's what it means. It'll make sure you can be sure that and we will do those checks later on to see, you can see yourself with some example data later on. At this point, I would like you to be aware that all your bank holidays, special days, bank holidays, special days, which do not particularly fall on a currency, maybe for whatever reason. There are dates which are for particular rates curve file. There are some special dates which you want to avoid, but they don't necessarily fall on a bank holiday. So you would enter it here. And in this case, by just entering the currency, you're letting the AZMAT system know, go and get the special dates for each of these currency curves. Okay, in this case, it'd be US dollar. You get it from here. JPY, in the JPY curve, get the special date from there. In the GBP, British pound sterling curve file, get the special date from there, special dates, whatever they are specified, maybe one or more days. And the same here, Deutschmark curve file, get the special dates from there, or euro and so on. So that's the holidays check for curve grid points. Let's go and have a look at it now at the curve parameters. We will again here start on this particular, on this same file here, but at this point we just go into, not particularly in very detail, but every single entry point here. So let's have a look at this here. The first row of the curve. First row of the curve is there, row 1, and it's got here last saved by AA. So this actually stores the ID of the person who had last saved. In this case, it says last saved by AA because I am the user on this particular computer, and if you see, my data file is aa.xlsx because that is what I entered, my user ID, when I started AZMAT System. Every user, when they start AZMAT System, they have to specify, they have to give their user ID, and it will open the appropriate file, data file. And if that file didn't exist, for example, in this case, if I go to that file, if this file didn't exist, as it will not be the very first time you use AZMAT System, it will create it for you. So it will create aa.xlsx, very first one. You don't have to worry about where it's coming from and all this example data. It will have some example data to begin with. It will have all these parameters area defined, and then you can see, although it may not have all these others, it probably will not have all these extra things which I've created, but you can then create once you've got the basic user file. So this is the aa.xlsx data file. My user ID I'm using is AA. Whatever you use as a user ID, 2-letter ID, so it could be KY, for example, then all your files will begin with ky.xlsx or ky and then extra letters after it, letters or numbers or whatever. So we go back to the curve file. So here it will have last saved by the 2-letter user ID, whoever had opened this US dollar curve file for either a rates edit or a file edit. Let's see that. Add-ins, K menu, and then you can only open 2 things here. Open curve for rates edit, in which case you will only be able to change anything in the yellow area. Remember here, and let's have a quick look. Here, all the yellow area here, future price range, non-future price range, spread range, and the actual bid, in this case, bid price and the bid offer spread. And we go back down, scroll down all the way up to here. So you can only change anything in yellow. There, the actual bid price and the offer price in this case, and these items here. If you open the curve for a rate setting, so add-ins, K menu, and there. If you open the curve for rate edit, that's what you can change. However, if you open the curve for file edit, as we have in this case, we can change anything in the entire file, not just the areas in yellow. You can even change the description. You can add new dates here, specify special days, bank holidays, or days to avoid special days, whatever. Anything. You can also add the features here, update the features, all these parameters, anything in this particular file. So file edit is not given to, or not everybody can open the file. Just going to put it back here for some reason. It's gone off there. Because I just put the curve with my mouse. I just went there. Okay, so the first row of the curve is last saved by, and then the ID. Let's go back up there. The first row of the curve that. Now, before we go to the actual, we could have a very brief look here before we go to the other actually. You see, so for last saved by A, and when was it? There's the date. As you can see in this cell, you have the date and the time. However, I've also put here the time itself. The reason you see here, you see, it says 6th of July 2017. This is British way of date. That's why here you've got the date, month, and the year. In the American date system, this will be the month here. So it'll be June the 7th, 2017. Whereas here we're talking about United Kingdom date system, so 6th of July, 2017. But don't go by that, have a look here. The format is specifically to avoid any confusion. We've got the date and the month as letters, 3-character letter. So 6th of July, 2017. You can obviously format in your own format, whichever way you like. You do not have to use this, as it probably will be confusing for you. But in England, here, that is how they use. But the other thing I would like you to notice is here, I've got here date and the time, up to even in seconds here. So 3 minutes, 3 hours at the 3rd hour, minutes, seconds. So it's 32 seconds past 7 minutes past 3 a.m. That's when it was saved by AA last, on 6th of July 2017. Now, the other thing here, you might notice here, it's got both the date and the time. And in here, this cell as well has got exactly the same. If I change it here, you'll see, if you can see that, 6th July 2017, 3:07:32. And the reason I have got here is if I had all of it in one cell, this cell would have to be very wide, probably up to here. From there up to here, half of it is cell width. And then it will look a bit silly because in here, we're not talking about just that date. Whole column here, this column there, this column has got other items besides the date. It's got, in fact, bit prices in this case. You go down, see all the way there, bit prices. So to have that column this wide, about as half as this one, as we saw, if you put it here, it's up to here. From there, not even here, it's actually slightly from here to there. So it will be about from there, from this there beginning up to this here, roughly halfway. It would have to be that wide in order to show the date and the time. So what I've done is put the same value in both cells, there and there, and this one is showing just the date, formatted to show just date. This one is formatted to show just the time. So this way we have split the same information visually. So we are looking at the date and time, exact same time. Right. Next thing here in row 3. So the first row of the curve has last saved by. This just says AZMAT System is there. Don't worry about why it's there for now. Last saved by the ID, 2-letter initials, and then the date and time. Then the third row of the curve has the curve name. The actual curve name is a description, so it's US dollar curve. So it'd be Australian dollar curve, and so on. Japanese yen curve. And the fourth row is the currency code. So this is the, in this case, for example, in this case is US dollars, USD. And then you would have, for example, JPY for Japanese yen or GBP for British pound sterling. Fifth row of the curve has settlement in and the number of days. If you notice here, I only have number 2, but here you can see I actually have got, it says 2 days, and the S in bracket because it could be 1 day, and so if it's S is one way of putting it so that it will still look correct. So when you put S in brackets, so if it falls on a, like, you know, if you have only 1 day, you don't want it to look silly by reading 1 days. So that's why you in brackets. So it's a bracket, that means it's either applicable or not, depending on this number. So here I have got 2. The actual number is here 2, but it's formatted to show 2 day open close bracket. So even if it was 1 day, it then is here 1 day and in open close S. These bits in that we'll go in detail later on how to actually do that. But now just be aware that the 5th row has got this settlement. Again, this settlement, what exactly is settlement, we will go in detail later on. Right now, we'll just go through the actual items, what they are, curve parameters. So we have the last saved by, name of the currency curve, currency name, and the currency code there, and then settlement in and its number of days. Future contract size. Here we have it again. Here says only 1, but here is showing as 1.00 million. Okay, so it is 1 million contract size. The future contract size, again, we will go into detail later on, but for now, just be aware that their contracts, they are different size contracts depending on the currency. So in this case, it is 1 million contracts. So each contract or each futures contract is for 1 million for this particular US dollar curve. Remember, I could have, as a user, could have another US dollar curve, which user would be using, that particular dealer would be using, for example, in an investment bank, and they could call the currency code, it will still be US dollar curve, but they could call this currency code US1, US2, and so on, instead of just USD, which is the reference curve, which everybody is using. But that particular user could be using on for their own use and they could call that currency as currency code as US1, US2, and so on. And they could experiment with different sizes. So anyway, in this case, futures contract size is 1 million. And then we have in this row, sixth row rather, there, and also we have weekends in the same row here. So 1 equal to avoid Saturday or Sunday. Now the seventh row of the curve is futures price range. We won't go into too much detail right now, but just so you have it between 90 and 99. Why that is so, we'll go into later on. But basically, by specifying these two numbers, 90 and 99, that's the range, you're telling AZMAT System to ensure that these futures rates of prices entered here. Remember, in this particular curve, US dollar curve, I'm entering bid prices because that's the one in yellow. Some other currencies, they might be entering the actual offer prices. In this particular US dollar curve, the user, the dealer, is entering the bid prices. So they are here. Okay, so this could also be future prices, the offer price which they could be entering, and the bid price is calculated instead of offer price. In this case, bid price is given, bid offer is given by the user, and the computer calculates the offer price by simply adding the two. If the user had entered if the user was entering the offer prices instead of bid price, offer price would be yellow here. So this bid price here, instead of being yellow, this would have a column, which simply would state that that column would be, instead of here, that plus that equal to that, it'll be here, offer minus the spread is equal to the bid price. Okay. So at this point, you are specifying letting AZMAT System know that the future price range must not be below 90 or above 99. It must be between 90 and 99 inclusive. So it can be 90, can be 99, but not below 90, not above 99. Even 99.1 is not acceptable, or 0.01 is not acceptable. Or this one, instead of 90, it cannot be 89.99. So this way, what you're telling AZMAT System to, when you've finished your editing, file edit, and so you're asking it to save the file, AZMAT System will ensure that all your future prices, because this one is only for future price range. Future price range is from here, futures 1 to 12, there. F1 to F12. It will ensure, AZMAT System will ensure, if I just scroll it down slightly so we can see, future price range will ensure that it's between 90 and 99 inclusive. If it was outside any of these values are outside, because it can happen, people by mistake might have entered the wrong key. So AZMAT System will check one by one, cell one by one, all the way down, and it will stop if any of these values is outside the range, either below the minimum or above the maximum. Similarly, we have non-future price range is 1 and 9. So non-futures is anything which is not future. So these are the futures, futures 1 to 12. Non-futures are from here. Spot, SP stands for spot. And then there's 1 month, 3 month. So it's these three plus these here. As I scroll it down, I have to scroll further. You can just see that. So it's the last cell is here, the yellow bit. So it's that non-future price range is that, and from here to there. So if I hold the control key, and then press here, I can select more than one row there, for example. So I've got my original selection there. So non-future price range is this spot, 1 month, 3 month maturity, and then 3 years, 4 years, so on, all the way up to 30 years in this case. Right? So that's what it means. So non-future price range, when it says here, non-future price range must not be below 1 or higher than 9. That's what you're saying. So remember, 90 and 99 inclusive is for futures price range, as you can see here, 96.63, and the highest range, futures range, is 94. In this case, 75 appears to be the highest future. Remember, they're not necessarily features here. As you can see, they're not all increasing and higher than the previous one. Here we have 94.71, and the next one is actually below that, below this one even, and so on. Okay. Why they are so, we will learn later on as we proceed to the those particular tutorials which deal with that matter. Right now, just want to go through each of these items to give you just a brief indication as to what they are and so on. So we've got the futures price range is F1 to F12, from there to there, in this case, because this is yellow coded. So that's what is being entered, and this is calculated. Anything in blue is calculated. Anything here in white is not actually calculated now. It's actually, there's no particular formula, for example, like this, 1 minus the other, or 1 plus the other, or whatever. These are just values, as you can see. FU, futures, comma 2, comma Q. Or here, the future F9, 9th future, September 2019. Right, the 9th row of the curve is a spread range. Spread range there. So again, spread range is here, this column, and we are saying to AZMAT System to ensure that this here, the lowest it can be is minus 0.05, and the highest it can be is 0.5. Okay, so this value must be spread range. This column must not be below, must not be less than 0.05. Note, we have here 0.02 minus 0.02, and here you're saying to make sure it's not below minus 0.05. However, if you notice, okay, we'll go into that later on, actually because we'll just go otherwise away from the main topic. Right now, I just want to cover the actual topic. We'll go in detail later on each of these things. So it mustn't be, that's your minimum point minus 0.05, and the maximum can be plus 0.5. It's plus because I haven't set, so any of these, all these numbers, positive numbers are, we don't put plus, only the negative we actually say 0.05 or whatever they are, minus, or in this case 0.01, 0.010, and so on, right? 0.020. Right. So you're saying to make sure that the spread mustn't be below 0.01 minus 0.0, sorry, the spread mustn't be below minus 0.05, and it must not be above 0.50. Okay, that's the spread range. So we have already checked that about the 4 holiday check parameters, that they are used in conjunction with each other. These 4 holiday parameters here, which you enter, your entry here is the one which is checked. This is just example data, remember. So all the 4 holiday check parameters are used in conjunction with each other when checking holidays. This means that the original curve grid point dates are checked against all 4 parameters to ensure that the final checked dates satisfy the contents of each and every parameter. We'll briefly go through this, very briefly now. We will probably have to go through this again in the next tutorial, but very briefly, just we'll go through here. So the first column of curve. So we looked at these rows. First 9 rows, what they are. The ones below that later on we'll see in the actual row wise, we'll look at it in columns. So the first column, in this case, you can see is curve column 1 is type, basis, and frequency. So if I highlight that column there, I select that column, means the column, everything here in this particular column. But note my data, if I go down, whole column is selected. When you select here, a particular column, the whole column is selected. So we don't really need to select the whole column, but right. I could have selected here, for example, from there to there, or better still, remember here, these are just descriptions. The actual entries are here. Type, basis, frequency. That's the column heading. Type, basis, frequency. So I have type separated by comma, then basis, another comma to separate, and then the frequency. Type, basis, frequency, first column of curve. Notice that this, you may have noticed that this is actually column 5 in this curve. And if I want to go to the left, you will see that if I try to go there, this particular point, it doesn't go. I'm pressing left arrow. Right arrow, of course it moves. But left arrow, it won't go beyond 5 to the left of it. That is because this particular file has got some hidden columns. and this file is protected. So it will not let the user go where the programmer, the system developer, that's you. When you decide that you do not want the user to go there, we will go into detail, see how you can do it. And of course, that's the whole objective of these tutorials, is for you to learn everything here in this particular system, all these files, why they are designed, for what reason, and so on. And you can be sure there are some special reasons for everything. So although the column, you can see column number is 5, but in this curve, what you can see, the user can see, as far as user concerned, that is the first column. So we're calling it first column of curve. So first column has the type, the basis, and the frequency of the bond, most likely, or whatever financial instrument you're using. So we say, so to save these, I'm using I put all 3 in one column, right? So the first bit is type, then I've separated by a comma, then followed by basis, then again another 4 comma, and then it's the frequency. So type, basis, frequency is there in the first column of the curve. Second column has the column of curve. Second column of curve has maturity. That is the maturity of that particular financial instrument. So in this case, spot, cash, futures, and if you go down, we'll see swaps, SW for swaps. We'll go into detail later on exactly what they are and why they are where they are. So second column is maturity. Third column is bid rate price, which you've already been in quite detail. And but here we just need to know one other thing, important thing to know is the bid rate price is the name. Bid 1 underscore offer 0 is equal to 1. All data is entered by the user. Right? If bid, so we have to check the name in order to see that. So let's have a quick look at that. So the names are defined names are here. Click that just up here next to the search review code. So define names, click that, name manager. And it says here, name manager has got the names here. And you notice it's got the AZ. We won't go into that for now. AZ date time. So what it's saying is, if the name bid1 underscore offer 0 equal to 1. So if you look at it here, we have got a name called bid1 underscore offer 0. So it should be fairly explanatory that if the bid was 1, offer is 0. That's what it's trying to say. So bid1 offer 0, if it's equal to 1, as I have in this case, equal to 1, value is 1, bid1 offer 0 equal to 1, then the scope is workbook here, and the actual value is got here is 1. Okay, the value of bid1 offer 0, if it's equal to 1, all data is entered by the user. That's what you're saying. If the name bid1 offer 0 equal to 0, all data is calculated by AZMAT System, right? So if you change the values this to 0, I wouldn't do it just like that unless it really applies. But only change these things when you get more and more confident of how the whole system works. So in the beginning, do not change any of these, please. Okay, so leave it for now. So if this bit 1 of a 0, if this was 1, the value is 1, then it means all data is entered by you, the user. If, however, the bit 1 of a 0 is equal to 0, then all data is calculated by AZMAT System. Fourth column of curve is bit of a spread. All data is entered by the user. So in here, bit of a spread. All data is entered by the user. So the actual spread, as you can see here, sorry, I'm in the middle of this defined name manager, so I must close it. Click the close or click the escape key on the keyboard. There, it's disappeared. Now I can go and change something else, look at it, whatever, move my cursor. Otherwise, at that particular point, I was in the middle of looking at the name manager. So AZMAT System, or rather Excel, would like me to finish that, what I was doing before it will let you do other things. So I had to either click cancel to cancel, or press escape to cancel that command. And I use the cancel escape key to come out of that command. Right, fourth column of the curve we're seeing here, bit of a spread. All data is entered by the user. Right, in this case here. So the entire column from there to there, it's all entered by the user. Fifth column of curve, offer, rate, price. So this is the fifth column. And as you can see, this is the offer, rate, price. As you can see, there is a formula. This simply means bid plus offer, bid offer spread. So this is calculated by AZMAT System. If it has a 1, if bid 1 offer 0 is equal to 1, is calculated by AZMAT System. So note that the bid rate price, if bid rate price we saw earlier on, if this was entered by the user, then all data is entered by the user when the bid 1 offer 0 equal to 1. So for the offer rate price is completely the opposite. So when the bid 1 offer 0 is equal to 0, then all data is entered by the user. And then when that is bid 1 offer 0 equal to 1, all data is entered by AZMAT System. So in this case, the offer is entered by AZMAT System, but the bid rate price is entered by user. It's fairly obvious actually. If you just go by the color code, you can see if the user is entering that column, AZMAT System calculates that one using the bid offer rate price and the bid offer spread to calculate the bid offer to calculate the offer rate price. If this bid 1 offer 0 equal to 1, okay, bid 1 offer 0 equal to 1. All data is calculated by AZMAT system. We calculate from using those two values. And if this is 0, then all data is entered by the user. And when this is 0, the bid price is entered by the user. So it's really just the opposite. So if you put bid, if the user is entering this, system calculates that. If the user entering this column, if this was yellow, then the system will calculate that. Simple as that. Sixth column of the curve is mid-rate price. Mid-rate price. This is all data is calculated by AZMAT system, and the maturity date most definitely is calculated by AZMAT system. I think we'll stop now, and we'll continue with this curve description and other things later on in more detail. There is a lot to go through in here in this. We haven't even started the actual calculations or the calculations of these grid point days or these the actual what these mean, type, basis, frequency. Don't worry, for now, this session will stop and we'll go into details of each of these items in a future tutorial. So let's stop this now.